In 1995, Will Smith and Martin Lawrence were stars on the rise with rookie director Michael Bay in their hit action comedy Bad Boys. Smith and Lawrence played Miami narcotics detectives charged with recovering $100 million worth of heroin stolen from a secured police vault. Action and hilarity ensued to the tune of a $141 million box office payday. 8 years later, they returned in Bad Boys 2, where the movie climaxes in Smith and Lawrence taking a trip to Cuba to recover Lawrence's fictional sister, Sid, played by Gabrielle Union. Again, action and hilarity ensued, this time to the tune of $273 million. The year is now 2020, and after many rumors and false starts, Bad Boys for Life has finally been made. With a significant reduction to the budget and Michael Bay no longer at the helm, I believe the only guarantee that could be made is that action and hilarity will ensue. And this movie will probably make a boatload of money. I'm Ronald Young Jr., and this is Leaving the Theater. All right, we are leaving the theater after seeing Bad Boys for Life. This is Ronald, of course, and I'm here with special guest
Michael Jefferson, Match Potential. Hey, everybody.
All right, so it was the threequel, the third Bad Boy for Life. Director Adil Arbi and Bilall Fallah. Writers Chris Bremner, Peter Craig, Joe Carnahan, starring Will Smith, Martin Lawrence, Vanessa Hudgens, Alexander Ludwig, Charles Melton, Paola Nunez. Good night. You too. Katie Castillo, Nicky Jam, Joe Pantoliano. And now that I said his name, I just realized something that irritated me about it that we can't even say here.
Okay.
When we turn off the recorder, we'll talk about it.
All right. I agree with that.
Okay. So, I didn't like it.
So 3 people wrote that? 3 people wrote that?
Yeah, 3 people
Okay.
wrote this movie.
Cool.
I didn't like it. Did you like it?
Did they write it in separate rooms?
Wait,
You write the first part, I'll write the middle.
did you like it?
You know, I like
yes,
it.
no, yes, no.
Yeah.
You did.
Yes.
Okay.
If you're going to make me choose between yes and no.
Yeah,
then
the
yes.
answer is yes, no. You liked
Okay.
it? Okay.
Yes.
I did not. I did
So a
not.
hard no.
I have to say no. And there were things I liked about it.
Okay. Well, wait a minute. You didn't give me that option.
Well,
Okay, well, then there's things I liked about it, but no, I didn't like it, if that's an option.
no, I'm saying no, I didn't like it. There were good elements. You know, here we are. We're following Mike Lowry and Marcus, whatever his last name is. We're back. We're dropped into an installment again. We're immediately reminded that they have been making these movies over 25 years. The first movie came out in 1995. The second movie came out in 2003. It is now 2020. So, and exponentially is the time passes exponentially between each movie. So, watching this film, there was a part of me that watching it felt nostalgia to see them back together.
Yeah. It always feels good to see those guys together, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So it felt good. But then I had a thought, and it was towards the end of the movie, and I realized, I was sitting there and I was like, yo, this is Lethal Weapon.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
Like,
no, that's
this
actually,
is-
yeah, that's, yeah.
This
Yeah,
is this.
It is, actually. Okay.
Yeah, this is this generation's Lethal Weapon. Like, you got the one guy that's like, I'm too old for this.
Yeah.
I gotta retire. And the other one who's a hothead. Like,
Yeah.
this is Lethal Weapon.
But isn't that I'm too old for this, I need to retire? Hasn't that been the same in all 3 episodes? Hasn't Martin's character been on that the entire time?
Yeah, so was Danny Glover's character in Lethal Weapon.
fair enough.
Yeah, I'm not saying that it's anything new, but all I'm saying is they did 4 Lethal Weapons. They're on their 3rd Bad Boys.
So they're headed to 4.
Yeah, so I'm like, They could very well do a fourth one. By the time they got to the fourth one, where'd you park? By the time they got to the fourth one, it was, I mean, they were pretty decrepit.
Yeah, but people kept watching it,
Yeah.
and so they kept making them.
And I think
That'll happen here.
And I think that is the issue here because we're looking at a movie. It has terrible dialogue. It has terrible plot points. It looked cheap, and I looked up the budget. The budget for this movie was $90 million, which for a Will Smith action film is a very low number, especially in today's movie making society. To put it to you lightly, the first movie was Michael Bay's first film in 1995. It was made for $50 million. So think about that from 1995 to 2020. If you only get a $40 million increase, you basically made this movie for the same price you made the first one for.
You're paying salaries and buying a couple of cars to blow up, and that's it.
Yeah, and for the second movie was $120 million. So they grew. Yeah, exactly. So that tells me a story right there. This movie was caught in a lot of in production hell for a long time, where it wasn't being made. It was being made. It wasn't being made. They didn't know. To me, watching this, it felt like that. I think one thing that bothered me, even in the previews, was that all the characters we've garnered over the last couple movies, the new ones, you know, whether they be cameo characters or the other detectives, none of those people popped back on screen except for the captain, Joe Pantoliano.
Oh man!
Nobody else showed up. What's wrong?
No, I just spoiler alert, right?
Yeah, there's spoiler alert. We won't actually spoil it. Which one? This one or the Ford? Okay, cool. Let's stand on the other side so we're away from the wind. So yeah, and it felt like they were cut off. Like there was a part of me that was like, they feel cut off from the world. Like it's just the two of them. And I don't know where we watched all three of these movies. There was one mention of Will Smith having dated Sid.
Yeah. Gabrielle Union's character.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you went to Cuba to get her, and they had a full conversation about how he had only been in love once.
Yep.
And that turned out to be a foreshadowing in this movie. We didn't even realize that.
Yeah.
But I'm sitting there watching, I'm like, wait a minute. Y'all, we ain't gonna talk. You weren't in love with Sid?
Right. And Sid's just nowhere, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And so then he mentions later that he broke up with her, but I'm like, I don't know, man. Like, Gabrielle Union is available. So
Yeah, she must have said, no thanks, guys.
Yes. She must have been like, I've had enough of this. I don't know if I'm going to do this. So, I didn't like it. If I had to rate it like gun to the head, I'd given it 2 stars.
I could get with that, 2.5 maybe. I could get with 2.
Yeah. There's a plot twist that made Michael Jefferson upset. I was upset too, but he was like, we kind of want to tell you.
Yeah.
But
do you have is there like another podcast you have where you actually talk about the spoilers in the movies?
We don't, unfortunately. But what I'll do right now is. No, we're not gonna do that. I was about to be like bleeping out half the thing right now. No, I'm not gonna do that.
No, that's fine. It's fine. Go see it. You know what though? If you go see it, exactly what our critique will be, it will be absolutely obvious. And if it's not, then you're stuck in a nostalgia bubble. That's
he's 100% accurate. Let's be real. You're gonna go. They're gonna make jokes. You're gonna laugh. Hilarity will ensue.
There was funny parts.
Yeah.
There was gags that were like, okay, that's funny, that's cool. There was definitely some parts from both characters where I was like, okay, somebody wrote that.
Yeah.
Somebody wrote that.
Yeah.
They didn't freestyle that.
Yeah.
But you know.
And we laughed. We laughed. The action I did not like the action. I thought it looked cheap.
It was weird.
Yeah.
It was weird. It was almost like they insisted on doing their own stunts, but they were doing them like they are now today, age-wise, and you know.
And neither of them did one push-up for this movie.
Yeah, maybe that was part of it though. Maybe part of it was for them to look kind of over the hill.
No, but like you don't like. Oh, come on, man! Like The Rock and Will Smith are pretty close in age.
Yeah.
But The Rock
and Will Smith has done more push-ups for other movies before.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
He's
capable of doing push-ups.
And so that to me is what makes this a cash grab, right? Because it's like I'm not even gonna bother to do a push-up for this movie. Y'all want this movie that bad? You're gonna get what I give you.
Yeah, no, and I could see that in this. This is like, okay, go see it. If you saw the first 2, definitely go see this one.
Yeah, go see it. Go see it regardless of what we're talking about. Go see it. But you'll agree.
Yeah, but like there's a big but at the end of that. Like, but just know that it's not like there were times when I was longing for the second one, and the second one is a pretty absurd movie, but I was longing for aspects of the second one.
The second one I think was more developed. I think it was better written. It was more developed. This
is like Bad Boys. We don't care. And then I found myself really drawn to the parts where they were working as a team when it was Martin, Will Smith, and then this little team called Ammo that they were working with.
Like a special investigation unit or something,
And there were a bunch of young people that they were, and I was like, this is more interesting when they're all working with them.
Which means that the next Bad Boys needs to just be like the new class, like Bad Boys the new class.
Yeah.
That's what it needs to be.
But unfortunately, they can't do that because the whole draw of Bad Boys, like even when they made the first one, they were like, Martin Lawrence and Will Smith are in this movie where they're cops. And everyone was, this was 95. I was in 5th grade. I think you were in 3rd. Like, it was like, oh my God, even as a kid, I wasn't even allowed to see the movie. Like, I had to sneak and see it on when it came on HBO eventually. But like, even at that point. Say what?
I said, wow.
Yeah, so I'm like, but even at that point, it's like you watch this movie, it's Michael Bay. Michael Bay has a cameo in this movie. He doesn't direct, but he has a cameo.
Yeah, he stand lead it,
Yeah, and it's very, it's very unusual, the cameo. And it was almost unnecessary, because it was like, there's a lot of people that aren't going to know who Michael Bay is.
Again, it goes back to, it all supports the cash grab. It was like, listen, I'm Will, I'm Martin. If we're gonna do this, we're gonna do it on my terms. I want Michael Bay to be in it. That's my homeboy. If you're not gonna let him direct it, put him in it, right? It's that kind of thing, right? If somebody came up to me right now and said, "Hey, I want you to do this movie," and I said, "No, I don't want to do it," and they say, "Please, everybody wants you to do it," I would say, "All right, well, this is how we gonna do it." And that's what happened. And that's what happened.
And that's fair. But the thing is, we shouldn't, as the audience, we shouldn't be able to see that. And I feel like
I hear you.
Like there has to be a level of saying like, yeah, even if it's a cash grab, could you just act like it's not? Just because like I came to the theater because I loved the other movies and I wanted to see y'all do well in this one. And Will Smith made a effort of saying, and by the way, Will Smith should not be cussing. Just
it's weird.
Be who you are.
It's so weird. Even Martin, who cusses, right? It was weird.
Yeah.
It was like your dad. It was just weird. I don't know how to explain it, but
and
it was
this
weird.
movie didn't have to be rated R because there was some graphic violence.
Yeah.
And when I say graphic, I mean not even on Game of Thrones level, but there were like shots and all that stuff and clearly blood.
There was hardly any skin or anything like that, so it was literally just violence.
And
so if they would have just said like hell a bunch of times instead of saying worse words, PG-13 all day.
Pretty much. I mean, it's like a PG-13 movie in disguise.
Yeah.
So I give it 2 of 5 stars. Michael Jefferson, you agree?
Yeah, I agree.
Okay.
I agree.
Well,
I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
But the quality wasn't there.
Here's the test. Will you watch it again? On purpose.
A long time from now.
On purpose.
If
pick this movie. Would you pick this movie to watch again?
Would I see it in a theater again?
No,
like, would I pay money
this is what I'm saying.
Allow someone
I'm
to
not
pay money?
okay. This is what I'm saying. If you're channel surfing, it comes on TV. That's one thing.
Probably.
I'm saying you have a stack of Blu-ray.
No. Probably not. Not unless I'm doing like the trilogy and I want to watch all 3. But they don't even connect. So it's it's like watching a brand new movie.
Yeah. Oh, and then there's this one very emotional part, or supposedly emotional part, that happens in the movie that ends up literally meaning nothing.
Yeah.
And it's upsetting.
Whole, plot arc where it's like
there are 2 major plot points.
There's so many shoehorns.
Yes.
Okay.
There are 2 major.
I gotta leave it alone.
There are 2 major plot points. We're about to turn off the recorder so we can really talk about this. But there are 2 major plot points that we had issues with. One of them involves a death, and the other one involves, you'll know, the major plot twist, soap opera plot twist later on in the movie. And I hope that's not too much for y'all to be like, oh, you ruined it. But I'm telling you, this movie ruined itself.
Listen, when they announced this movie, you knew the twist was going to be transparent.
Yeah.
So anybody who gets upset at you for ruining it by saying there is a twist has never seen this.
This isn't Endgame. This isn't like Infinity War
or familiar with Michael Bay at all.
Yes. Yeah, like come on, guys. Like this one, you'll be fine. But yeah, 2 of 5 stars. I would give it. Go see it. There's not that much stuff out. It's Oscar season.
Yeah, see it.
So there's a lot of heavy, heart-wrenching movies. This one's lighthearted and fun.
Yeah. Leave your brain at home for this one.
Yeah, you don't even need it. Just go ahead and cut the whole thing out of your head. You don't need your brain for this one.
There you go.
All right. And with that, we're back at the car, and this time I was smart. I marked the page. Instead of flipping through the things looking for the credits.
Good job, production manager.
I do what I can. Leaving the Theater is a production of Oh It's Big Ron Studios. Theme music by the mysterious Breakmaster Cylinder. You can get updates about this show and other Oh It's Big Ron Studio shows by following me on Twitter and Instagram at Oh It's Big Ron. That's at ohitsBigRon. If you like this podcast, check out our sister podcast, Time Well Spent. I got a new episode of that coming very, very soon. Leaving the Theater. We'll be back soon. Before we go, let me say thank you to my guest, Michael Jefferson. Thank you so much.
Happy to be here every time, man. Thanks.
And you know what? We'll see you at the movies.